Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, you are going to learn about how would you create your first C# program using GitHub Copilot. In the previous video, we have discussed how would you enable the prerequisites such as Visual Studio Code, GitHub Copilot license, how would you sign in into the VS Code and use GitHub Copilot, and many more. Ready to make GitHub Copilot your comfortable zone? Let's get started. So as you can see, I've opened my Visual Studio Code here, and then what I'm going to do is to create my first program. So what we will do here is basically I'm going to go to this folder. You just can create it anywhere in your computer, and then what I'm going to do is I will create new folder here and name it Hello World. And then what I want to do is to open that folder in VS Code. So basically I'm going to click on File and then navigate to C, Learning, C# and so on. So what I'm going to do here is open the folder, and then I will select Hello World folder. So this is going to be mine. Okay, let me make myself a bit small here. Now as you can see, so if it's your first time looking at Visual Studio Code, is an open source code editor. We have installed many extensions such as the GitHub Copilot extension, C# DevKit and so on. And we are now in the Hello World folder. And in the previous episode, we have installed the .NET SDK on our local computer, so we need to use the .NET CLI to be able to create our first program. So what I'm gonna do is basically just click on these three dots and then new terminal, and here it will open a PowerShell session. So if I do ls, I would be able to see my Hello World folder. And the first command that I want to show you here is to create a new .NET or a console app. So what I need to use is what we call a .NET CLI. So I'll just click here .NET, and as you can see, it's automatically completing this for me. And then I will just type .NET new, and then the name of the of the app. So new console app, and then N is the name, and then you type your name. So here maybe I'll just do Cloud with Mo, and then hit enter. Right, so now it created a folder which is Cloud with Mo. So if I do ls, here I can see there's another folder. So let me just go to Cloud with Mo, and then ls. I should be able to see my program files here, like the program.cs, and then Cloud with Mo .cs project, and then the object files. We will explain this later on, but I can see it now. It's open in my editor here, or the editor view. And then this is the terminal where we will use it regularly to to use the .NET commands. Normally, even if you have an Azure portal, Azure resources you would like to connect to it, you can use also the PowerShell. So Visual Studio Code is very powerful. And then what we would do, we're going to spend most of the time on the program.cs. So this is where we are going to write our syntax, or the C# syntax here. I will explain also the rest of the files, but just for now, we're going to spend some time here, like at program.cs. And what I want to show you here is basically not manually writing the code, but now we can open the chat window from the top right here. So if we click here, we will see the the chat session is opened as if you're using any large language model, right? Things like ChatGPT or Gemini, or Anthropic and so on. What is very cool about this, it uses something called let me just do comment here, context engineering. So in the world of agents, basically this guy, or the world of GitHub Copilot, this guy is connected to your workspace or to your folder, and it understands your source code here. It has visibility on everything you do in the editor and the CLI, and then you also can give it things like instructions, and you give it many different skills and connect to different agents, and even you can paste screenshots here. So I can actually upload a screenshot maybe from another repository or whatever, another documentation, and then ask questions about it or do something. I can even import another repository from a different GitHub account or DevOps and so on. So I can do many different things to give it more context. So all of this will make the coding experience very powerful. So now GitHub Copilot understands a lot and what's happening here, and can debug and can write code and do many different things. So from the right side here, you can see there is because we are stopped here on program.cs, right away GitHub Copilot is seeing what is inside this guy or inside this code editor. And then let me just close this terminal here. And then here we have a few different modes that we can leverage. First is the agent mode. There's ask mode. So this is what we're gonna demonstrate today, the ask mode. And also, as you can see here, it's using Cloud Opus 4.7. I can set it to the model router, which means is that I will set it to auto mode, and then based on my question, I don't need to use a powerful model. I could use Gemini models. I could use Codex, from OpenAI or Cloud or whatever. So GitHub Copilot got a lot of models that you can leverage as well. It's not only OpenAI models. Okay, so I would just ask GitHub Copilot, how can I write a program that output Cloud with Mo in, of course, C#. Okay. So now what I'm doing here is prompt engineering. I'm very specific. So I am asking GitHub Copilot, hey, please guide me. How can I do that? So I am in the ask mode. So in the ask mode, the agent will only respond to my questions, but will not take any actions. And then it will start to to understand what is the task, and then it will go ahead and explain it to me. Okay, so what's happening now? It's telling me here, use this exact C# code, Console.WriteLine Cloud with Mo, and put it here, and then do dotnet run. However, what I don't like here, that's fine. I don't want to upgrade my PowerShell. But what I don't like here is just telling me, go and run this code. All right. So it's not treating me as a beginner mode. So of course I can just follow the advice here, which is basically I will write console dot write line dot write line, and then just do the tab here just to complete everything, and then type Cloud with Mo. Also, GitHub Copilot is telling me run the dotnet run command. So since we use dotnet new and we created new app console, we now need to run this program to see the result. So we have to open the terminal window again. A big reminder: 3 dots, terminal, new terminal, and then it will open again. We can close that and then start to test that program. So what we can do here is .NET run, and then we are already on that folder. Let me just make sure, double check again. ls. Yeah, we are in the hello world, so we just can do .NET run, and then I think we're not in the folder. Just sorry, cd Cloud with Mo. Then now we are in the folder. So let's clear, and then we do .NET run, and then run my program. So as you can see, it's showing Cloud with Mo. Okay, so that means the command is working fine. What I don't like, so now let's go back again to GitHub Copilot here, is it just told me, hey, this is how you do it, right? So I want this to to be for students, for maybe beginners, like I'm a beginner as well. So what I can do here is to start to give it certain instructions, right? So instead of every time I say, hey, I am learning, C#, can you, I'm still beginner, can you explain every single topic? I want GitHub Copilot to do that automatically. So what I can do is to load the instructions. So what I've done previously is go from the top here, there is settings mode, so I can click on it, and there is something called instructions. So instructions in GitHub Copilot got 3 types. There is something called personal instruction, there is repository instructions, and there is also organizational instructions. And what we will do now is just we basically create an instructions that is personally, so it's gonna be within my files, and I can say, hey, create an instructions that like I'm very big, I'm learning C#, I want this to be as specific, like, or maybe like try to explain every single line of code that you're writing. Don't just tell me how to to write the code and blah blah blah, and then it will generate that instructions for me. So you can craft a proper prompt and then generate the instructions, and it will create that instruction file. But previously I have created that, so I will show you mine. So if I go to another project that I have, there is something called, like always, gonna create a .github folder, and then inside that there's something called Copilot instructions. So what I will do is just I will copy this code and then come back here, and then in the Hello World section go to Cloud with Mo and then paste this one. So notice here it immediately loaded my instructions. So let me just take this out. As you can see, it now recognizes my GitHub Copilot instructions. So let's just close that window, and then here I am saying you are helping a beginner who is learning C# from scratch. The communication style, so I'm trying to give it like a purpose. The how would you communicate with me? Like explain in simple language first, then show the code, yada yada, and then teaching behavior is basically the code style. Generate complete runnable examples when possible. Prefer clear and beginner friendly syntax over clever shortcuts, stuff like that. And then this is what I want from GitHub Copilot to teach me as a beginner. So if I go back here and then ask the same question again, so I will just click on the program.cs and then here load my instructions. So first I am going to the agent and tell it to load my instructions, and then you ask me to load your instructions, so I'm going to scan your workspace, and now it's checking. Okay, so there are some stuff like I used on my day-to-day work, so that's why it's also loading the other instructions. But now, as you can see, loaded, I have found you applied instructions to your workspace file, so this is my instruction, and then it now understands this. I can have more than one instruction. However, GitHub Copilot only look for one file. So if you have maybe GitHub beginner, or beginner mode, advanced mode, and so on, or maybe you are a senior developer who are writing code from the repository level, you can define one for testing your code, one maybe for the software architecture, and so on, and then make sure that you don't exceed more than 4,000 lines. So here keep it short, keep it specific. Don't be also too strict, and don't be too generic. Like I don't want you to write hey, I want you to give me a good code. Like what good code means, or even I want you to be the best programmer. Okay, so it doesn't make sense. But to be able to count this file, to count all of this, what we have wrote here in this file, we can use something called OpenAI Tokenizer. So I'm just gonna go to the internet here, and then we can just go and type OpenAI Tokenizer. and then I can paste the text. I will know here that, okay, the number of characters is 1216, and from the documentation from GitHub, like, you know, you cannot, like, if you exceed more than 4000 characters, then it's going to be ignored from Copilot, will not read it. So when you're writing instructions, if you feel like, you know, while you're testing that GitHub Copilot is not like, you know, following your orders because you have written too much or too long instructions. Okay, so what we are doing now is we're typing Console.WriteLine cloud with Mo. So this is just a string. So I want, when I run my program, I want my program to output cloud with Mo. Okay, and to do that, we have to use what we call it WriteLine method or function, right? So we'll talk about function and what it is, but this is how you like, you know, you output a specific string. And then this parenthesis is basically like the body of that function, and then the semicolon here is just the end of the C# statement. If I want to print more, maybe like, you know, Console.WriteLine, and then I can use also like, you know, hello everyone. I can also do that as well. So if I do Control or I save my file, Control S in Windows, and then I run this again, I can actually ask here, how can I run my program from the CLI? Okay, without saying explain it to me, it should now give me like a better response than the previous one. So now, as you can see, it started to detail. So the previous one, it just told me, hey, this is how you write the code. Done. No explanation, nothing. But now, because I've loaded my instructions here, so now what's happening here, it's telling me open the terminal and then write .NET run -- project /cloud with Mo. And then what this does, so it's now explaining .NET run equal build plus run your app. And then here project /cloud with Mo, like, you know, tells .NET which project folder to run, and you should get this output. Okay, so now how like, you know, does it know that? Because it's looking at the actual terminal window, program.cs, and then it read your code, and then it should be good to go. What you can do, it's either you copy paste from here, so you have also the option to insert it to terminal right away, or even copy, or even merge, you know, insert it at the cursor here. So all of these are possible, or even you can ask, like, you know, the agent to run it for you. So we are now in the ask mode. We can use also the like, you know, the like, where's the agent mode here. But for now, we're just using ask as if you're using ChatGPT or whatever. And then what we can do here is we are going to run our program. So .NET run and then and then start to run our program. Now you can give it a follow-up as well, right? So if you feel like you're still confused about what's happening here, you can actually, you know, you can send a follow-up question. The other thing is that you can highlight here and then say, like, explain this line of code to me, and why I don't see the full body of my code. So now what we have done is we are asking a follow-up here is I have selected my line of code, and then as you can see, when I selected this, it says like Console.WriteLine hello everyone. This is the explanation that I've been telling previously. Like, you know, this means print this text to the terminal, then move to a new line. So console is a built-in .NET class, so it's a class basically, and then method or the WriteLine is the method that's living within that class. So it's saying here WriteLine has many overloads, different versions. Your call uses the string overload. So why don't see the full body? The code you see in program.cs in the top level statement is short style. So what it means is that Microsoft in the newer .NET like, you know, versions, you no longer need to type the whole, you know, like, you know, like body of your code or the whole syntax. you just can right away like write your code, and then it will go or when you run your code, it will go ahead and use this or type this for you without being required in the in the editor. So now here it's saying here like now where the console is coming from. It's coming from the system namespace, and then WriteLine is a method or a function that is coming from console class, and then it's run, or it will output or I want you to print this into my terminal window basically. So now if we go back here, we can test that as well. All right, so if we can type system, all right, and then we can see many different options. Can you see there is a lot of options as soon as you click on the dot here? So we type system and then dot. If we type console, then here we can see if we type dot, then you can see what are you trying to do. Is it WriteLine, or do you want only to write, or do you want to use different methods, and so on. So what I can do here, I can even say console.peep, so which means is that I want the computer to do like beep, so I can do that as well. That's coming from the peep method. So now if I go back here again and then type console.write without WriteLine, so we have now console.write and we have console.WriteLine. So is to parentheses and then start to output something here, like maybe hello, and then again everyone. So now there is no space. So although we're writing multiple lines here, but hello everyone should be stick together on the output. So let's now try to run our program. .NET run, and then dot. As you can see, it's showing here even hello everyone, and then this is the the PS command. Let me just do that again. Sorry, .NET run. Hello everyone, and then it didn't push the C# learning hello world this location down because we just written right. All right, but when we do WriteLine, let's say console.WriteLine and then hello everyone, so now it will print this one, can you see hello is tied to hello everyone and then WriteLine, so there is like a /new line. So now you can see it's more organized. Okay, just to summarize, you can write is only without new line. Let's say if I do console.write, I can either do that and then hello everyone /n. This is also new line, right? If I do .NET run again, then I will be able to see hello everyone, new line, then the PS is down here. Okay, so I can do this, or I can write it in this way, console.WriteLine, and then just take out this /new line. It's the same thing. Okay, if I do .NET run again, it will output the same result. Okay, so what you see in the two commas here, that you see it here, is that whatever is going to be printed, or the output here, is going to be string. Okay, so I can do 1 2 3 4. I can output a number. I can output whatever. So if I do also console.WriteLine, okay, and then copy this number, all right, as you can see, this is the output 1 2 3 4 5. So if I do, let's say plus, maybe, or if I do 10 plus 10, okay, this is not also gonna change. It's gonna output 10 plus 10. It's not gonna do 20. Okay, so hello and then 10 plus 10. It doesn't matter. So everything here is gonna be considered as a string. That's it for today. So we have explained a lot. So first is how can you use GitHub Copilot Ask Mode. We have learned about GitHub Copilot instructions. We have learned about the the code editor. We have learned about the context engineering that GitHub Copilot can understand, the whole repository or your whole local workspace, and understand the structure of the code, and then can give you responses based on your code or whatever input that you can provide. We have talked about the how would you output or create your first program. How would you output something in the terminal? So we have we have done hello everyone and 10 plus 10, and then we understood what is console class, what is WriteLine method, and so on. I hope this video was useful for you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.